Come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily. Locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Soren T. 12, Chief Meteorologist, Pastor 4.
Radio 92.7.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now. Baylor Swim Club and Baylor school head coach Dan Flack will lead the USA men's national junior team at the Junior Pan-Pacific Championships that will go on August 23rd through the 27th at the Damodar Aquatic Center in Suva, Fiji. Coach Flack has served on a number of national junior team staffs, and most recently last summer as an assistant coach on the FINA World Junior team. He also served as an assistant on the 2011 FINA World Junior team staff as well, and has placed 5 Baylor athletes on the USA Swimming National Junior team over the last several years. That included Arden Pittman, Spencer Rowe, Kristen Vetterveld, Sam McHugh, and Trey Freeman. The men's soccer team was picked to finish in a tie for second in the USA Southwest Division as the conference released its annual preseason coaches poll on Wednesday afternoon. Each divisional preseason poll only includes votes from coaches within that particular division only. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nuga Radio.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. How is everyone doing today? It's Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. Oh, man, y'all know what it is. I'm taking it from the streets to city council, from city council to the mayor's office. Can't leave out this ridiculous police department. From the valley low to the mountaintop, giving you guys a bird's eye view to what's going on here in the city of Chattanooga. Guess what? It's another beautiful day in the city. You woke up this morning, you're doing all right. Somebody didn't wake up this morning, and I want to take a moment to honor Aretha Franklin, who passed away. I know she was sick, and I want to take a moment to honor her. Some people may not know her outside of music, but she actually stepped forward to post bail for Angela Davis of the Black Panther Party when she was falsely incarcerated for crimes that she did not commit when the government was targeting her and the Black Panthers. So, Aretha Franklin, may you rest well, and may the ancestors greet you on the other side and be pleased with your work here. So today we're picking up kind of where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about pilots and tips because a lot of us have very little financial understanding when it comes to city dollars, how our tax dollars are spent, how they're funneled throughout the city. And, you know, one of the things that we need to know is that it is several layers of leadership that is complicit in how we improperly spend money. Y'all know what it is. I'm streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on my own personal Facebook. If you want to call in and chop it up with me, 800-8949, or drop a comment if you can't call in. And have a conversation with me. That's always what this is. We're having conversations. We're having tough conversations, necessary conversations, because the reality is that you pay taxes. And hell, if we're not putting that money into education, and we're not putting it into infrastructure, minority business, if we're not putting that into investing it into the community, into I don't want to say affordable housing, but housing for people who are homeless. Whatever that looks like, figuring out what that looks like. If we're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and let me just give you guys some figures, because maybe it will make sense to you if you understood how much money has flowed through Chattanooga in about a decade, and how $0 just about go to you and your community. So we know in the last decade, the city of Chattanooga has awarded the Chattanooga Police Department $500 million in the last decade. They gave them $500 million to be able to come into the Black community and communities of color and that are impoverished to whoop our behinds, because the police officers sure ain't making no money. $500 million to the police department. And as we learned yesterday in covering pilots and TIFs, there's about $400 million that's on the table in taxes that we need to collect from these companies that we've given tax breaks to. So last time I checked, 5 plus 4 is 9. $900 million is almost $1 billion, folks. Let that sink in for just a minute. Pause. We've had almost $1 billion. We'll just take it from the last decade. $1 billion flow through our hands or city officials' hands here in the city of Chattanooga. And all we see are more condominiums that the average person here can't afford. Companies that come open their doors that won't even pay you the $15 that you need to be able to make it in the state of Tennessee. Somebody getting rich, folks, and it ain't you. Somebody making a killing, and it ain't me. Somebody is getting everything they could ever dream for. It's not your community. And to keep you quiet and distracted, Mayor Burke will have burgers with you, and you got to pay for those too. Y'all don't want me to be real, but that's okay. That's okay. He wants you to come with your barely struggling self and sit down probably at some fancy smashy coffee shop that does not either employ people from your community or is not owned by someone in your community. But he wants you to come have burgers with him and not confront him about his business dealings and how under his administration, Chattanooga is the 7th worst ran municipality in the nation. Folks, if we think that we woke up and got here overnight, that we got here just by happenstance, by mistake, we're fooling ourselves. We're lying to ourselves. And it's more than time for us to take a cup of coffee and wake up. And beyond wake up, we got to get involved because that's our money. And it's not monopoly money, folks. That's real money, real dollars. Now, I want y'all to think, what does $1 billion even look like? Like how many stacks of hundreds is that? $1 billion. We got schools falling apart, right? We have an ever increasing class of poor. We have people being pushed out of their homes and the neighborhoods that them and their family have lived in for generations because Chattanooga wouldn't let us live anywhere else. And you telling me that Chattanooga has a bright future? When are we going to, when is the glimmer effect going to wear off, right? We celebrated the best things that can happen in the city of Chattanooga far too long and way too much. We got to deal with the real and the reality of the struggle. Now, Chattanooga Times Free Press did an excellent article about 2 years ago called The Poverty Puzzle, excuse me. And the city of Chattanooga is worse off than when they did the original study. Y'all, my listener, my neighbor, my friend, my church member, you know what? I just don't understand how we're so timid about what's ours, how we're timid about our power, how we're timid about what we righteously deserve, and how we feel that when we go to our city council or our county commission or we approach the mayor, that we're begging for something. First of all, a mayor, a county commissioner, and a city council person is a hired individual by the community. So when I go to my city councilman and my county commissioner and my mayor, and I tell them that I need something in my community, I'm not begging for it. I, the employer, is demanding the service of my employee. And because I pay them, you pay them, because we pay them, do they not have an obligation to do the work that we are asking for? Think about that, folks, because we need to see. I'm all about reframing stuff. We don't elect people. We hire them. We don't vote for people. We hire them. And guess what? If we hire them, that means what? We can write them up and we can fire them. And, you know, the interesting thing is, and this says a lot, and this is why it's important for us to start doing this work right now, because we have about 2 years. Like I said, thank God Mayor Burke is terming out. He's out the doorway. Burke, I'm thankful for what little good you have done. And I'm glad that you won't have any more opportunities except just the remainder of your term to do any more damage than you already done. But every city council seat and the mayor seat is going to be open. Now, the interesting thing is we've had 4 new people come from my community, the African-American communities. We've had 4 new people join the city council practically almost within the last 2 years. We're headed to that long. And we have not seen anything get better for our communities. You know, people always tell me, Marie, you got to be careful what you say. But I don't have time to worry about how people feel about what the community should be telling them to their face. Because any problems I have with any council person, I can say it to them. There's absolutely no reason why Russell Gilbert can be asked questions and he can never give anybody any answers. Everything he does is in secret. There's absolutely no reason why Byrd and Oglesby, when they are approached by community members, they have nothing to say. And for Anthony Byrd, when people like Tiffany Rankins rubs him the wrong way because she's demanding something for the community she's lived in for decades, he can't say anything to her in the council chambers. He gets on live on Facebook and has a Facebook Live basically throwing shots at her because she asked that a car wash that was falling apart for like 2 months with the roof dangling in trees. And she made a real statement saying this wouldn't happen on Signal Mountain and this wouldn't happen in East Brainerd, but it can happen. This safety issue can happen here in a Black community. And this roof can fall on some Black child and y'all wouldn't be too concerned about it, but white people wouldn't let that happen to them. And he doesn't say anything in the council chamber. Well, Miss Rankins, I'm so sorry about that. Lincoln Park, District 8. I'm so sorry about, I understand it's insurance issues that's going on with that. But shucks, if I can, I'm gonna see if it's possible for us to get some city men or something, just because of safety. And I'm afraid maybe they'll follow one of the children when they're walking home from the corner store. You see, we don't like real stuff like that. That's real. And Councilwoman Coonrod, my criticisms of Councilwoman Coonrod come from a place because I, as well as so many other people, and this is a verbalization of the community, and not just from her district, but from other people, from other Black people from other districts, is that we believed in the championing of her story, that God's redemption can bring us a mighty long way and that he could clean us up and use us for his purposes and his good. But we get told statements because she's not shy from speaking. And, sometimes the best thing you could do is, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say anything good at all. Don't say anything at all. That's what my grandmother would tell me. But you got to be careful when you talk and you start opening up your mouth because your words can trap you. When you make statements saying that basically we can't have a community oversight board into the police until there is community interest. Well, the community interest is we're getting beat upside our head, ma'am. And little girls are getting pulled out of their mother's vehicles. And young women are getting raped. And men like Anjali Moore are in prison because they've been set up by the police department. And other young men whose names and other young women have died in police custody. And we still don't have answers. And the fact that all of you guys, whether you're white or black, can sit on a city council came from the hard work of 2 black women. Let me pause on that. We got the game twisted. And we got the game way messed up. I understand that any rights, that any opportunities that I have, I didn't wake up deserving those opportunities in just because I was black. I understand that the opportunities, the blessings, the doors that have opened for me came from sacrifice, from blood and sweat and tears and hundreds of years of free labor and denial and second-class citizenship. I understand that any opportunity that I have, somebody had to die for that. And what righteous indignation should I have to think that I've arrived or I've made it because I can get in some room with some white people? And this is not anything to hating on white people, because we need your love and we need your help and we need your assistance too. Right? There's really no difference between us except melanin pigmentation. We're all humans. We're all people. But it is a crying shame. The city council has practically existed in my lifetime. In my lifetime. And I'm 30. In my lifetime, we have had the opportunity to have representation. And what the heck do we have representation for if we're not going to shake some things up? And I said it before and I say it again, that the people can respect you and will respect you if you're the only one doing what's right, saying the hard stuff, being determined that you are going to represent. Because let me help y'all understand, Oglesby, Gilbert, Anthony Byrd, Coonrod, it's bigger than y'all. It's not just about your district. All of y'all are black people, which y'all, if nobody is banding together on the city council, I expect every minority to be banded together simply because of the interest of minority and oppressed communities. I get tired of seeing only people be only concerned about what's going on within their district, like maybe a couple miles over in another black district. It's not other black and poor white people as well, and poor Hispanic people who are just as oppressed as people in their district. And if you don't understand, now I'm getting ready to step on some toes, and it's okay, because this goes for everybody practically on the city council. Because I believe if these people understood proper finances, if these folks understood what the community really is looking for, if they really knew for real, they wouldn't be making half of the decisions that they're making. And to me, the impression that I continue to get is that as long as the mayor says he wants something, he got it. Let me, for my African-American council people, county commissioners, we only got one school board member. Let me make something emphatically clear. You're going to always be black. You're going to always, well, at least for now, represent an oppressed district and an oppressed interest. And you can have all the parties you want to have. You can have all the houses that you want to have and make backdoor deals so you can sell your house for a profit. You can do all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, when they're done with you, when they're through with you and the community is through with you too, we'll get rid of you. But understand that the decisions that you're making today has set Chattanooga on a trajectory where person after person outside of Chattanooga, this is not just coming from economists from UTC or Helen Burns Sharp, who is a Chattanooga native. We're talking about endless study that comes from people outside of Chattanooga who continue to say that the trajectory that we are on as a city are going to create a permanent divide in economics, education, housing, and more. And that we are creating generations after who will be poor, miseducated, and 9 times out of 10, either in jail or hooked on some sort of drug to be able to cope with how terrible life is here in the city of Chattanooga, because we have not created any avenues for upward trajectory or mobility for minorities and people who are poor. And in the most church city in America, if you don't understand that Christ was a revolutionary, Christ wasn't just the Son of God. He was a revolutionary. And they killed him because he was a revolutionary. And he was talking revolutionary things like giving people stuff back when you steal it from them. And he was talking about redistributing wealth to the people who you stole it from. Come on, y'all. You know, it's not enough to say that you're going to hand us something because, you know, $7 million for a YFD center, that's pocket change for what the city of Chattanooga invests in their downtown structure and area. That's pocket change. $7 million is pocket change. And the reality is that Carver Center, Eastdale, and all these other centers are still falling apart too. So we got one investment at one center, and we patting ourselves on the back like we made this huge progress. And you better believe that the $7 million investment that we have at that center, that's decades worth of work. We're going to keep talking about it, folks. $1 billion. And how are we the 7th worst ran municipality and creating the next generation of miseducated and poor? Please stay tuned for the second half of the segment.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
The TBI is on the hunt after a non-custodial mother reportedly ran off with her daughter. 12-year-old Briella Reese Bowling is missing from her Smithville, Tennessee home. Police believe Wendy Hancock is the woman who took her. The TBI is on the lookout for a 2018 silver Chevy Equinox, tag number BMK994. If you know where they are, contact authorities. There's a new emergency management director in town. Chris Adams, former fire chief, was named to head the agency. County Mayor Coppinger said in part, "I watched his development as a leader and knew he would be a terrific addition to our emergency management team when he became available." And 2 cars went up in smoke on Highway 58. Reports say the 2 vehicles were completely consumed. Photos from the scene show thick black smoke billowing from the windows of the fire. Fire investigators working to figure out what happened. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick and money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nuga Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio. 92.7.
I got my business up and running and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga roofing contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga roofing contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks? Even 2 or 3% at best? Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins.
Rick Davis Golden Diamonds. Brainerd Road. Chattanooga weather.
Expect some hazy sunshine, hot and humid weather out there for your afternoon. Mainly dry, highs 90 to 93. Tonight, warm, muggy lows, lower 70s. For Friday, scattered showers and storms will march in from the west, especially for the afternoon and evening. Highs dropping into the 80s with more scattered showers and storms Saturday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily. Locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Source E12, Chief Meteorologist, Pastor 4.
Nuga Radio. 92.7.
Payment in lieu of taxes. Pilots. Tax increment financing tips are one of the causes of the poverty puzzle here in the city of Chattanooga. Shucks. You got $1 billion in about the last decade. $400 million left on the table from our city officials because the mayor, both the city mayor and the county mayor, sure as heck don't mind making their buddies rich. And some of our city officials at lower levels, like county commission and city council, some of them are property owners and don't mind having Citico extensions run through places like Lincoln Park because them or their sister owns property in Lincoln Park. And don't mind gentrifying neighborhoods where not only do Black people live, but a lot of elders live. You know, one thing we got to be careful about in some of these decisions that we're making, besides just pushing people out of neighborhoods, we're pushing a lot of elders out of neighborhoods who lived in these areas for 40, 50, 60 years because Chattanooga, during its height of segregation and the color of law laws which only allowed Black people to live and house and stay and work and play in certain areas. And then somebody woke up. I'm pretty sure it's people like the Luptons or the McClellans and rich Southern oligarch families who are infamous from pulling strings on Signal Mountain, woke up and realized that these poor white people and these Black people got all the prime real estate. And we made a grave mistake by going out into the suburbs because we didn't want to live with them no more. And we didn't want our children to go to school with them. We made a grave mistake. They got all the riverfront property. Lord help us. And we've seen it really aggressively over the last 30 and 40 years. The push to change the makeup of the city of Chattanooga. And when we can look at a Chattanooga Times Free Press article, and I believe it was 1887, that said that Chattanooga was a city of Negroes. How did we get here to where North Shore used to be African-American, downtown used to be African-American, MLK used to be African-American, and nobody wanted to live here when we lived here, when we had industrialized downtown that was, I'm struggling, y'all, because Chattanooga, as much as we like to prop ourselves up on all of the things that we accomplish, we do some things really, really bad and terrible. We went from being the dirtiest city in America to being the cleanest, inequitable, worst ran city in America. We went from being the dirtiest air quality city in America to being one of the worst ran, most inequitable, beautiful places to live. We went from one end of the spectrum legitimately to the other. And when we talk about $1 billion from taxes not being collected, from businesses that were allowed to come here who should have not only employed people, because I think we have a small understanding of things, but when we have pilots, it's not just people come here and they open up their doors and they employ people, but they should be employing people at very good wages. So Amazon doesn't get to come here and open up their doors and pay people $10 or $11 an hour. They should be paying people like $17 an hour, right? I think for the grueling work that people do at Amazon, $17, $18 an hour would not only keep people there, but it would make it easy for people to live here in the state of Tennessee, where you need to make at least $15 an hour to be able to survive. But is our city really interested when they want to hand you things like burgers or, come have coffee with Anthony Byrd or come have coffee with the Chattanooga Police Department? I vote, if we gonna have coffee, we need to have a real conversation. If I'm gonna sit down and have a burger with you, is it gonna be one of these situations like Donald Trump with the black pastors? I can't come in and ask no questions. I can't talk to you about no real stuff. I gotta come in and say, "Oh, Mayor Burke, you're doing a great job." I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in beating around the bush because, our schools are segregated still. And we've seen the uproar from Roy Exum and all of his articles and people on our school board where we have virtually no representation, with the exception of Carissa Mosley. People who are defending, not only are they old and dusty, but then they're defending 800-8949, if you want to call it, talk to me. But then they're defending segregation and then defending our schools being the way that they are. Now, I wasn't interested in Unified Ed when they were talking about forced busing. That has never worked. That has never worked. But if the city, which got out of the school business in 1997 and has continued to try to put stuff onto the county, even though we got plenty of money, I don't understand how we only go to county commission for the stuff that we need. The city got money too. We need to be hitting up the city's coffers. There's no reason why Chattanooga should have $1 billion that it could have invested back into things like potholes. We shouldn't be driving over any potholes. None. No reason at all. There should be no reason with 50 pilots. That's not even counting the TIFs. With 50 pilots that we currently have in effect. Now, Hamilton County has the most pilots going on currently. With 50 pilots going on and hundreds of millions of dollars and $26 million this year alone that we have not collected. There's no reason why we should have potholes. None. But the question is are our city officials and county officials really interested in doing the work? And if they're not doing the work, what is our response? What's the plan, folks? I don't have all the answers. You know, the simple answers that I do have is that we need to push for oversight, financial oversight, police oversight, and we need to start educating ourselves. So when politicians, even though they wanted to put a ban on people panhandling, which I say politicians are some of the biggest panhandlers, you know, let's put a ban on politicians panhandling for money and see how far they get when it comes to election time. You know, the more we begin to educate ourselves, we can start asking these questions. So when folks talk about they want to run for mayor or talk about they want to run for city council, well, Mr. Oglesby, tell me, you know, your literal understanding of pilots and TIFs. And what do you think about the current clawback provisions that we have? And how do you believe we should be collecting these dollars, these hundreds of millions of dollars that we're leaving on the table? And when people start stammering and stuttering through, then we know that no. And really, we could start educating the people that we want to run in these elections coming up in 2020 right now. Right now. We need a change, folks. And the change is not just going to come with oversight. The change is going to come with the changing of the guards. The change. We need a change. And firmly, my belief is that all of the people, I would say probably 95% of the people involved in politics and different things like that here are tainted. They're tainted. First of all, we just need young people. It's time for us to get some younger people involved in politics because we need fresh blood. We need a transfusion desperately. Because what we're doing is not working, and stupidity is doing the same things over and over and expecting the results to be different. Segregation, inequality, failing schools, social capital, mass incarceration as a means of destabilizing the family structure. And we could talk about how disproportionate that is, especially in my community where I live. You know, that it takes 15 minutes for the police to get there. But when they pull up, they're not going to be alone. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up in handcuffs if your name is not Sarah Lee Jenkins or Tommy Lee Basefield. We got a lot of issues, a lot of problems. And my show, the purpose of my show is not only to hopefully educate you, bring guests on here to talk about certain things, have you call in and chop it up with me, but my larger purpose for you, the listener, and I can understand when I talked to a gentleman the other day, I'm kind of getting irritated with the word empower. I don't have to empower you. You already got the power. We already have the power. We just need to use it. We already got the knowledge, or at least it's right there in front of our face. There's no reason why we shouldn't know what hurts us. Google it. It's not that I come on my show and I know everything, but I do my homework. I get on Google or go to the library or go and talk to people and I find out information. And I solicit people. If there are things, I'm not intimidated by what I don't know. Ooh, let me say that. I'm not intimidated by what I don't know. I embrace what I don't know because that's an opportunity for me to learn. There are people out there. We got neighbors out there. People who've worked in city planning, who've worked at all of these different entities within the city. We've got the people out there who have the knowledge. ATM chat dot, I think it's .org. Let me double check that right quick. No, .com. I'm sorry. ATMchat.com. It's no reason why we shouldn't have, from this point forward, an understanding about pilots and TIFs and how our tax dollars are utilized. No reason. If you want a layman's understanding, Google pilots and TIFs on YouTube and they have like a visual understanding of what pilots and TIFs are in video form. Okay? But with websites like this, it's no reason why we shouldn't know what we don't know. Tuning in to people like me and David Toulis. There's no reason why we shouldn't know what's going on. It's no reason why we shouldn't be, and I'm guilty of this because just in a short period of time going and talking to city council and just having people look at me and stare at me with a uninterested, uncaring, just no love, no concern, just gawking at me about my feelings on police interaction here in the inner city. I quickly just said, you know what? I am done with these people and I'm just going to go to my community and start putting the stuff in the hands of the community so my community can have what they need. And I'm going to start giving them bits and pieces of information so they can know what they don't know. But we need to start sending, let's be covert spies. We need to start sending community spies to the Tuesday meetings for city council. And we need to have spies from every district coming in and writing down how quickly they approve these developer deals, how quickly they move through these motions, how they dismiss community members who come up and raise concerns about people coming into our communities and building all sorts of kind of stuff. And they'll approve it anyways, despite our concerns most times. We need to take notes. We need to start asking questions. And every time we run into these council people and run into the mayor and we ask questions and we have meetings, we need to record it. So we have a record of the decisions that are being made. So when these same folks come in 2 years and say, oh, will you vote for me? Well, Mr. So-and-so and so-and-so, I see here on this meeting, you approved this and, nobody from the community built that. Nobody from the community got to work at this brand new building or development or business. And they just hang it up. I need folks, if you're interested in seeing a difference in Chattanooga government, get with Reverend Charlotte, Kevin Muhammad, Timothy Carruthers, and the Hamilton County Black Caucus, because we got some things coming up for the community. It's our time. And the more we know, the easier it becomes for us to formulate a battle plan on what we're going to do to change our communities. Because it is my belief that if we're waiting on things to change, we're going to keep on waiting. We have let old people, and I don't mean old in age, we've let the same old people make decisions. And those people, like Carol Burrs, have been on the city council forever. It's time for us to send them their walking papers. And even the new people, they're not making any long-lasting, as far as I've seen, long-lasting, legitimate change that is going to impact the next generations in a positive way. We need to give these folks their walking papers because they're not doing what they need to do. It's tough being a leader, but nobody remembers the person who conforms to what is already going wrong. We remember Dr. King because he rubbed a hell of a lot of people the wrong way. And he said some tough stuff. And no matter how much the history tellers tried to sanitize people like Martin Luther King Jr. was a revolutionary. And more than him having a dream, he said he got sick and tired of asking for what America promised us on paper. We have rights, constitutional rights, conscientious rights, which is above what's on a piece of paper. The fact that you are a human being and you deserve fair treatment, that shouldn't have to be on a piece of paper for us to love and respect one another and for us to not undercut some communities more than others and send more people to prison more than others. And have all of the opportunity schools in one area more than others. I understand that everybody who may listen to the show may not be a Christian, but you probably know someone that is. And we see in the word where chief tax collector Zacchaeus, a short man, but a powerful man who was a Jew, but got rich off of oppressing his own people. When he encountered Christ, and he was convicted by what he was doing towards his people and how he got rich off of his own oppressed community. Not only did he promise to give their stuff back, but he promised to pay them back fourfold. That's giving it back with interest. And it's time for this city, and it's not just to African-American people, because this city has slighted Hispanic people as well as poor white people as well. It's time for this city to give back with interest to the areas that it is allowed to be gentrified, no business development. It's time to start ensuring certain jobs within the city for people of color. Yeah, we need to start going that far. You know, that's revolutionary talk right there. Don't expect to get that from anybody on city council or the mayor's office. But it's time for us to do what is right, folks. $1 billion and your children are going to raggedy schools. And for all those people who defend police, there's some good officers out there. But $500 million and you got to pay for books and backpacks and tools and supplies and sports and all this other kind of stuff and drive on raggedy roads and still be under lights that should be LED and all this other kind of stuff. Come on, folks. That's a lot of money. Wake up. It's the Marie Mott Show, and I'm keeping it real with you guys because I love you. And as always, if no one has taken the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. It's nothing you can do about that. Y'all know tomorrow is Friday, and I make your Friday Know Your Rights Friday. And tomorrow we're going to start getting into constitutional rights. And so I hope you guys tune in. I'm not here to empower you, but just to remind you and refresh your memory of the power that you already have. You guys have a good day in the beautiful city of Chattanooga. Tune in tomorrow.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
The TBI is on the hunt after a non-custodial mother reportedly ran off with her daughter. 12-year-old Briella Reese Bowling is missing from her Smithville, Tennessee home. Police believe Wendy Hancock is the woman who took her. The TBI is on the